RMJ movie reviews back again. Well, this is actually a video response, not off of any comment that any one of my subscribers has left to me, but one of the YouTube channels that I'm actually subscribed to. I'm subscribed to one of the people that I'm subscribed to who I really enjoy, who entertain me, who speak to me and my interests. Pizowell, who I've been with that guy since the very beginning, since he first started his channel. I accidentally came across his channel, I believe, in around the time the Friday the 13th remake had come out, in about 2009, I think. About my last year of college, I had come across his channel, and he was actually talking about, I think he was talking about the old Friday films and all those new editions that had come out at that time, and a couple of other films. I think he was talking about The Stepfather, the 1987 Terry O'Quinn movie, a special edition, if you could call it that came out around that time. Because that was like when YouTube was it wasn't to where it is now with all the stupid advertising stuff. But anyway, that's how I got hooked on Pizowell's channel. He likes me and him around the same age. He might be a tad bit older than me, maybe by a couple years, but we're about the same age. We watched the same movies growing up. We grew up in the video store era. So I very much like his channel, and I like his content. He loves 80s slasher horror films just like I do. And I enjoy the Sausage Factory and some of the guys that are on there. And, I love the guy's channel, and I'm fully supportive of other people's YouTube channels who just, people who just like to put out things that are interesting to them. I can't really say that I'm a part of this whole YouTube thing of cyberbullying and putting people down. And for me, my YouTube channel is really just a way for me to kind of exercise my true deep passion, which is movie making and acting in the arts. And I haven't reached a point in my life where I could do it and have monetary gain from it. So YouTube is kind of my way of expressing myself. So further on to the point of this video is that Pizowell recently just made a video on his channel about the TV show USA Up All Night, which used to air on the USA cable network around the late 80s to about the late 90s, I think. It might have been mid 90s or late 90s. But I, being about the same age as him, a guy in his mid 30s, I grew up in the video store era, as you saw that Blockbuster video that I made in response to Stuckman, who's another guy I really love. But, I was a faithful viewer of USA Up All Night. I used to watch USA Up All Night all the time. I watched it from its very beginnings. There's actually a chick who was on there first. I can't remember her name, but really what's burned into my psyche is when Gilbert Gottfried and Rhonda Shears were on there, and I used to watch it a lot. Matter of fact, USA Up All Night was the first time I had ever seen the film The Toxic Avenger. This was even when it was just 1 and 2. 3, I believe, hadn't come out yet, but at that time it was just 1 and 2, and I'd seen both Toxic Avenger 1 and 2 on USA Up All Night. And I remember Gilbert Gottfried would go on and be like, and now we're on to The Toxic Avenger and Melvin Junko, and we'll see when he gets into the laundry room. And you know how Gilbert Gottfried used to talk. And at that time he was in the Problem Child movies. I believe he was in Problem Child 1 and Problem Child 2. I never saw 3, although I know it was a different kid, and William Cat from House and Carrie starred in it. It went straight to NBC. I never saw that film, so you guys can leave a comment below if it was ever good or not. I think I was actually way older, too. I might have been about 15 or 16 by the time Problem Child 3 had come out. Anyway, digressing. Gilbert Gottfried, he was kind of a weird, wacky personality, so I used to enjoy watching it for that. Rhonda Shears, of course, this was around the time, I think I might have been 8 years old, 8, 9, 10. And actually, I kept watching it all the way through middle school. And I think about my early high school year was when USA Up All Night had finally changed But I watched it probably from about the time I was 8, probably through about maybe 15. 15 is kind of when I kind of gave it up and like my interest shift from television. Although I still really liked movies and I was still a movie geek, as indicated by, some of the things I tell you guys on my channel. But it kind of shifted towards girls naturally because I was 15 years old. And hey, what's more important? The Toxic Avenger or, teenage girls' butts? I think we all know the answer to that equation. So that was my experience with USA Up All Night. And what used to happen was because I'm a night owl, I'm still to this day a night owl. Although, I'm a full-time working adult and doing my life things and still trying to achieve dreams and aspirations and adult stuff and all that kind of thing. So I still am a night owl, although obviously I can't stay up as late as I used to because I'm a man in my mid-30s who works full-time. So I get sleepy, but, on occasion, when I kind of have vacation time off from work or if I have a couple extra days off, sometimes I can kind of screech out those old days. But either way, on the weekends, I was allowed to stay up late. So it would always be very exciting for me because Friday nights, my dad would take me and my friends, or sometimes he would just take me and my brothers and sisters. We go to the video store, we rent movies, and we rent the movies. You get them for the weekend. You get them Friday night, and you have them. Then you got to return them Sunday night. And if we never rented a movie, I was a spoiled child, so my parents had cable, and at that time, I believe at my father's house, we actually had HBO and Showtime and the Disney Channel. Ooh, remember guys, this is the late 80s, early 90s when Disney was a cable channel still. And at my mother's house, we only had Showtime. So the only time we would actually get Cinemax or the movie channel was when they would have, we're going old school, y'all. I know y'all remember when, like, cable would actually offer you, like, a free, you get to watch, like, HBO or Cinemax free for, like, one night out the year or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But either way, when we didn't go to the video stores on the weekends, I would watch either Showtime. It was Showtime and Disney over my mom's house, and then over my dad's house, it'd be HBO and Showtime. And then eventually later on, my dad got a little bit more fancy and he got HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and the movie channel, which was really... And we ended up getting rid of the Disney Channel because my father said, you're not interested in that, And if I liked USA Up All Night at 8 years old, the Disney Channel was a little bit tame for me. About the only thing I think I liked on the Disney Channel was probably... I liked Kids Incorporated and kind of some other stuff they showed, but Disney Channel just kind of lost my interest, and I was more focused on Showtime and HBO. So either way, that was an exciting thing for me to do when I was a kid on the weekends. And it was just like, I had my Nintendo. This was even way before I had Sega Genesis. I just had my old school Nintendo with Duck Hunt, as indicated by this shirt that I have on here. If you can see it, I actually bought this recently. I had to get it because it's an 80s kid. But either way, my Nintendo and all those games, I used to love them, but I wasn't interested in just playing all those games by myself. I was more interested in watching those obscure movies on USA Up All Night. And just, what other movies did I see on USA? I told you guys I saw the first Toxic Avenger and the second one on USA Up All Night. Return to Horror High. An early movie that George Clooney did. Although George Clooney doesn't have a major part in the movie. It's from 1987. It's a bootleg slasher spoof film. Doesn't make a damn lick of sense. I watched it again recently. I actually saw it on USA Up All Night. And there's some other films I had seen on USA Up All Night. What are some other ones that I can think of? Cheerleader Camp was one that I saw. Nightmare Summer Camp. But I had actually seen Nightmare Summer Camp on, I believe, HBO farther back than that. Nightmare Summer Camp is the one where the kids overthrow this summer camp. The guy finds a gun, and it's kind of like a mutiny on the summer camp. Actually, Court from Friday the 13th Part 6, John Travolta's nephew, I think his name is Tom Fridley, is in Nightmare Summer Camp. I always remember Nightmare Summer Camp because the finale, like, there's one teenager who stands up against the mutiny because it's wrong what they're doing. And I think kids get killed in that movie, but I haven't seen that film probably since it was on cable in the late 80s, early 90s. But I do remember there's one part in the finale where, like, the kid stands up to some other kid, and he does like some somersault thing. We all know in action movies, like when a bad guy attacks and he goes, "Oh!" and he tries to like jump down on the good guy, and the good guy just rolls back and kicks the dude over the ledge. But that's what happened in Nightmare Summer Camp. I just always remember him doing that little cheesy move. They did that in every 80s or early 90s action picture back in the day. I kind of wish they'd bring that back. When I do a short film, I might bring that fighting move back, including the headbutt. But it was Nightmare Summer Camp was one film I had seen. What was another film I had seen? My goodness, all of a sudden right now I'm drawing a blank. But there was tons and tons and tons. I think another film I had seen on there might have been the Terror Within 2. There was a bunch of really, really cheesy. Oh, Hell Comes to Frogtown was one I remember seeing on there. That one was starred Roddy Piper, one of his earlier movies. I think I remember seeing one of the Chud movies on there. I don't remember if it was 1 or 2, but I've never seen the Chuds all the way through. But it was one of the Chud movies, and there was tons of just very, very obscure. Oh, and one thing I did want to address from Pizowell's video is I did used to watch the Friday the 13th marathons that USA used to watch because, as he said in his video, and it's very accurate, they always used to show Friday 5, A New Beginning, and they show Friday 7, and they show Friday 8. This was even before Jason Goes to Hell came out. They used to always show those. Now, I believe Pizowell has said in his video that they showed, I think if I remember right, I think he said they showed 1 and 2. I could be wrong. I haven't watched the video in a couple days. I don't ever recall seeing 1 or 2 on USA. That's my recollection. But I do remember I did used to watch 5 and 7 and 8 when they used to run the marathons, and I used to watch them on the weekends. Matter of fact, my cousins, who were more into sports than me, I kind of like sports now because I appreciate what it does for you health-wise and physically. But at the time, I just didn't have a passion for sports. They used to always get pissed at me when I got the TV remote because I would always watch Friday the 13th Part 7 on USA. And they always be like, "Monty, you've already seen this movie before. Why are you watching it again?" And it's like, for me, in my mind, I don't care if I've seen it over again. The reason I like watching movies is because it's almost like you're reliving the thrill over and over again. So it's like when some people go to amusement parks and they ride the same roller coaster over again, you know what I mean? Or you listen to the same song that you love. For me, that's the exact same thing. It's something about when you rewatch films that you really enjoy, or they could be films that you hate, that bring out, particularly stuff like USA Up All Night. It brings out how old I was at the time when I watched it, the first time I saw it, the feelings I felt internally when I saw that film, how I reacted to it. Maybe sometimes it might even bring out what I dreamt about that night. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of feelings. And then sometimes, usually, observing the film usually comes last. Usually I kind of associate it with how I internally felt as I was watching the film and how I felt after I watched it. You know what I mean? And then the filmmaker, artist in me comes back and goes, okay, well, this camera angle on that and the acting, oh, her emotion seemed raw. That usually comes later. But that's what film for me is. It's almost like an adrenaline junkie, like Patrick Swayze in Point Break, when he jumps out the planes and he surfs. There's like some kind of spiritual Buddhist thing that Bodhi gets, right? And there's something more he gets from it when he's doing those things, and when he ultimately robs banks. But I'm never gonna rob banks because I don't want to meet the booty man in jail. But that's kind of like what it was like for me when I would watch USA Up All Night. It was just like this thrill that I would get from watching these very obscure films that were cheesy. Sometimes some of them, very rarely, there's a couple in there that would be good, but a lot of times it would just be the shock and just tripping out on what it was I was watching, and that would be how I would spend my weekends when I was a kid. Don't get me wrong, I've got tons of friends. Still to this day, I got hundreds of friends, thousands of friends. I'm a sociable guy. I've got tons of friends, so I ain't no type of person who don't know how to socialize. I've had girlfriends, I done got me some. I'm not some kind of shut-in weirdo type of person. I just really love movies, And USA Up All Night is just such a strong part of my childhood, and that whole USA Network, when the original programming they used to have, I used to love, and I always knew every year when they would air The Toxic Avenger. and I remember I'd always watch The Toxic Avenger every single time when it came on there. It was very disappointing to me. I ended up watching USA Up All Night, all the way until they took away the skits. Because they used to have the skits that Rhonda Shears and Gilbert Gottfried. Because at one point Gilbert Gottfried left, and then it was Rhonda Shears, which, of course, I was a preteen, so I loved Rhonda Shears. You know, she had the big boobs and the overly kind of ridiculous sexual thing, but it was like a sexual tease, you know. But for some reason, I was a young boy, so it just came. I kept coming back for more. You know, it was really bizarre. But once they kind of left, I kind of still did watch it, but it didn't quite have that charm anymore, because you'd see the USA Up All Night logo and it goes straight into the movie. Oh, another one I used to watch. I used to watch Halloween 2, 1981 on USA Up All Night all the time. Matter of fact, I still have a USA Up All Night copy that I taped from that film. But Halloween 1, from my recollection, never used to air on the USA. Matter of fact, if I recall, I don't even think Halloween... I think the only one that ever aired on USA at that time that I can remember was Halloween 2. And I used to recorded that and used to watch it all the time. And USA Up All Night was just... I just really miss those days when you had the programming, the local TV stations in USA Up All Night, these private cable stations that would just show these very obscure movies that were always fun to watch. They were tons of fun. Another one I just thought of right offhand was a movie called Killer Party. The only thing I can remember right offhand about Killer Party was it was made to look like your typical kind of slumber party massacre. There's somebody killing girls in, you know, skimpy white panties and t-shirts and stuff, and hitting each other with pillowcases and having, you know, pillowcase parties and stuff. And in the movie, I remember the ending. It turned out one of the girls was like possessed by some killer, and I just remember her like walking on the walls and on the floor. I might actually look that up on YouTube. That's all I remember about that movie. But that was one. I can't remember. Oh yes, how can I remember? Prom Night 2 and 3 used to always air on USA Cable Network. Always. I think Prom Night 2, Hello Mary Lou. Is that what it's called? I think it's Hello Mary Lou. Michael Ironside is in that film. I haven't seen that in quite a while. The only one I remember right offhand is I just remember the cover at the video store with her like this in between the lockers. And only thing I remember is Michael Ironside accidentally setting the chick on fire. And then him at the end going, they're playing their song. And then I remember where the girl is hidden in the lockers and the locker crushes her like that. I remember that. And then Prom Night 3, oh God, there's only like three things I can remember right offhand about Prom Night 3. I think it's her hand going through the guy's body from behind the seat, a la Terminator 3. Her throwing the football at the guy and it turns into like like the thing that Technodrome foot soldiers have, like some type of drill. And then I remember them having sex on the waterbed. And then like some guy who's his friend who's dead and he blows his brains out on the wall. I remember that about Prom Night 3. I think that's called The Last Kiss. I didn't really particularly care for the Prom Night sequels. I always liked the first one because I hate when they do that switch like that. You know, different stories. Stupid to me. But Prom Night 2 and 3 were another movie I had seen on USA Up All Night. Of course, any movie that I might have seen on USA Up All Night probably starred, Shannon Tweed. Wings Hauser was a one who used to be on there a lot. I think I might have seen the movie Vice Squad on USA Up All Night. I can't remember. I think I might have seen that on USA Up All Night at one time. But USA Up All Night is just... I just so identify with that little silly television show of my childhood. I really miss that time of obscure movies. Somebody can answer down below in the comments section if I don't have. I'm in the process of buying a flat screen TV. I'm finally updating here, and I'm gonna get my first flat screen TV, y'all. So the one I had actually seen, I seen it at Best Buy, but it's had one selection on the smart TV called the Cult Movie Network. Now you all can leave responses down below, and I know Robert Rodriguez's network El Rey, I think is what it's called. That's about the closest we got to USA Up All Night in the 8 o'clock movies of the 80s and the early 90s. So I'm perfectly content with having those. Please leave comments down in the section down below if anybody has those networks and give me a little feedback about them, because I know Robert Rodriguez does his director's thing, and he's done some fantastic episodes that I've seen with Michael Mann and Sylvester Stallone. Banging stuff. I really like that. Cult Movie Network, I don't know much about, but when I saw Cult Movie Network, I said, damn, this is like USA Up All Night. I gotta cop that. So any of my subscribers or anybody who might subscribe, leave comments, give me some little reviews about the Cult Movie Network or the El Rey Network. Another thing I want to address, I kind of went on a tangent there, but I'm just going off my emotions of how I feel about USA Up All Night. I really miss it very much, very deeply, and I really miss those times of when you just didn't have this business corporate, empire thing. I really miss the independent channels where you could just hop on there and you could just click on your TV and watch, Caged Fury, or Caged Heat, or the Beastmaster, the first one, way before Beastmaster 2 Through the Portal of Time. Penitentiary 3, I think, was with Too Sweet. I think it's one that I saw on USA Up All Night back in the day. After, of course, I saw it on Showtime first. Pizowell did address in this video, could those networks really play now regular TV? I'd say no. Things are just a little bit different now. I think there's just entirely too much content to choose from. And networks and television stations are so tied in with business this and business that and this, that, and the other, that there's no just, you don't have that melding of you got the Channel 3 news during the day and then at night you got USA Up All Night. Those networks were never combined, but you get my point. You don't have that kind of independent kind of show stuff with the major network stuff. Now it's just, the guys who own the major networks, they've cleaned house on all this old school stuff, and really, kind of the film geeks and the small minority of film lovers who love all film, not just The Deer Hunter, not just The Godfather, not just The Departed, not just Boys in the Hood, people who love The Godfather or The Departed, but hey, I also love Penitentiary 3. I love Caged Fury. I love Night Eyes with Andrew Stevens. I love Seduction with Andrew Stevens. I love Black Belt with Don the Dragon Wilson. Back in Action with Billy Blanks and Roddy Piper. You don't have viewers like us. Don't really exist in large numbers. So the networks have cleaned house on stuff like USA Up All Night. So I don't think a show like that would work now. It really would be nice if there was more of us out there, but I just think this whole corporate thing of the tie-in with the iPhone and the flat screen TVs and this and that, the business has gone to such a higher level that you just can't get TV shows and stuff like USA Up All Night. You can't get any real financial backing, as I don't think that show had any real financial backing back then, but I think it just so happened that it was on a network that did its own thing. And that'll just never happen now because it doesn't lend itself to bring in large numbers of people, which would make the monetary value of a show like that go up. It just won't happen now. You know what I mean? The only way something like USA Up All Night could ever work now is if, as I'm pretty sure they probably did with it at the time, is spend very, very little money on it, very, very little publicity, but be able to draw a profit. A la like every single 80s slasher movie that came out in the 80s. So if they produced it like that and there was very little window for monetary loss, we probably would see it, but it just wouldn't happen. But I love how with television now, they've been very slick with having stuff like, The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and all those kind of shows, which very much mirror a lot of those exploitation films that came on USA Up All Night back in the day. You know what I mean? They're just being real slick about how they're crafting it. You know what I mean? But it's no different from those films that came on USA Up All Night back then. It's just more well slickly produced and well crafted, and it's got a lot more publicity behind it to make you think it's different than what it actually is. It's the same shit, excuse me, but it's just a different day. So USA Up All Night wouldn't work now. And, I guess I would agree with Pizowell. It really is more just a product of its time. You know what I mean? The 80s and that independent television spirit of doing goofy hosts like Gilbert Godfrey and supposed image-wise sex queens like the Rhonda Shears persona on that show, it does not exist anymore and will not ever exist again unless you see it on YouTube or El Rey or the Cult Movie Network, where people have to actually spend their money to watch it. USA Up All Night is a product of its time. It's sorely missed, and I'm happy that I was such a film fanatic at the time that I recorded so much stuff that I still have it. And actually, after this video, I'm gonna post one of the USA Up All Night intros because I think that'd be fun. So those are my thoughts on USA Up All Night. It very much has formed my love of film. Still holds a special place in my heart about how I used to spend my weekends when I was a little kid before I was like interested in girls and popularity and all that kind of stuff. And it really holds a special place in my heart, especially Rhonda Shears and Gilbert Godfrey. I miss that show very much, and I miss what the USA Network used to be. So that's just my video response, off the cuff, off the fly. I ramble like I always do, but that's just how I do my videos. One day I might change it, but in the meantime, I'm just doing what RMJ Movie Reviews do. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and leave comments down below about my comments about USA Up All Night. Leave comments down below, your thoughts. Really particularly, I'd like to hear from people who are my age or a little bit older. The ones who were actually seeing this stuff as it was coming out. I don't mind if other people comment. That's probably fine because I want to hear everybody talk, but I really want to get the feelings of the people who saw it when it was on and saw it leave versus kind of seeing new clips on YouTube today versus when it was coming on there. So that's my response to the great Pizowell about USA Up All Night. I love it. I miss it. I'm sad that it left. It's a golden era of television. All right. From here on out, my videos are going to be airing on those specified times that I indicated in my Jason Bourne video. So this is the last time that my videos are going to air out of sequence of their air date. RMJ Movie Reviews, folks. I appreciate those who subscribe and those who leave me comments. I really appreciate the fact that you guys, some of you really enjoy what I have to say, because this is all like just coming straight from my heart. I genuinely believe in what I'm doing, and I seriously enjoy this whole thing. I hope one day I'll actually get paid for it. Thank you guys who are subscribed to my channel. RMJ Movie Reviews. I'll see you folks soon, and I'll be back with more fun content, more movie reviews, more comments. I'll see you guys soon.